All right, Chair Caesar Quorum calls the Whitestown Fire Board for April 7th, 2021 to order. Kyle, can you call the roll, please?
Yep. Start with Rob Worrell.
Here.
Jim Baldwin.
Present.
Andrew Hefner.
Here.
Jeff Wishak. I don't think he's here. Kyle here. It looks like we have Michelle on. So that should be everybody.
I'm
Okay,
here.
excellent. That's quorum. Welcome, Michelle. And Glenn, we'll turn over to you for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? All right, I will make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Jim.
All right, we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, Kyle, call the roll.
Rob.
Yes.
Jim.
Aye.
Andrew.
Yes.
Kyle. Yes. So it'll be 4-0.
All right. And we will approve the minutes. Any questions on last month's minutes? Seeing none, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Kyle?
Rob.
Yes.
Jim.
Aye.
Andrew.
Yes.
Kyle. Yes. It'll be 4-0.
Excellent. Glenn, do we have anybody from the public that has requested to speak?
At this time, I've not received any messages or chats.
All right, if anyone has a desire to speak, you can always chat Glenn and we'll get you in there. Thank you, Glenn. I see no presentations. We will move to statistics and updates and hand that over to the chief.
All right. So for inspection and prevention for March, completed 46 annual inspections, 21 re-inspections, 35 new building inspections, 4 C of O's, 8 plan reviews, and 5 sprinkler and alarm tests. For training for the month of March, we had a total of 674 hours. No public education or PR events for the month of March. We continue our response to the COVID pandemic. It's, knock on wood, been on cruise control. And our EMS division chief and admin or executive assistant will start Monday, April 12th. So the EMS billing, you'll notice on your copy that the statistics were not available as of the time of creating the report. They got their website fixed. And I can tell you that we had over 18,600 in revenue for the month of March, which brings our year to date to just over 47,000. And it's a 4.6% increase over where we were at this time last year. So we've come out of that negative and things have kind of leveled off comparing to 2020. Going on to runs. So we had a total of 110 calls for the month of March, bringing us to 265 for the year. Also, we added, as requested, the township runs. As you can see, we had 7 for the month of March. And we also added the out-of-district calls just to kind of give you an idea of how much we're being requested for assistance. I will say on the township, we're going to work on trying revising some of that because these numbers, how they're getting pulled from the program, are pulling from our zones that we have for our total district. And there could be a few that are actually in incorporated areas within some of the zones that cover unincorporated areas. So this gives us a good idea. We're trying to see if we can narrow that down Jim, if you want any more specific, we could do that. If this works for you, we'll continue on with this.
I think this looks good, Chief, and I thank you for adding that on there. That kind of helps me gauge what's going on in the unincorporated parts of the township and how many runs they're seeing and things like that.
And I guess the last thing with the stats, unless there's any more questions, we're at 6.9% above where we were at last year in the run. So.
And being it repeating or annualizing off of the COVID months, any idea, like, were you up last year over the previous year?
So are you asking, were we up last year for COVID or?
Yeah, because we're kind of in the first full month of what COVID was last year. Is 6.9% over non-COVID?
So yeah, because it's, March, really things didn't get into full swing and having that. Actually, last year, I can dig more into specifics if you'd like, but I believe our runs actually decreased over the course of spring into early summer, just because of lack of activity, I think kind of contributed to that.
Yeah. So being over 6.9% over last year could mean just normal.
Correct. Normal increase.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Anything else, Chief?
That's all I had for stats.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Seeing no unfinished business, we will move to new business. Item D, consideration of staff vehicle lease purchase.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My audio was cutting out a little bit. We talked about, I believe it was last month, that we were having difficulty in finding vehicles due to a computer chip issue and Chevy orders and whatnot. The dealership we're working with that has a purchasing agreement with the state, they did end up getting 5 spots for Chevy Tahoes in or available, I guess you could say. So that's what the quote I sent is.
Chief got muted. Hold on, Chief.
Am I back?
Yeah. You said the trucks were in and that's where the quote was from.
So yeah, so they were able to get 5 spots on the line. So they're actually being built, and I believe they are scheduled to be built the first week of June. But we'd like to jump on this opportunity instead of waiting for the unknown, because they do have this available. As far as the quoting goes, like I said, they have a purchasing agreement with the state. So we would fall within the parameters of purchasing there. I did reach out to Huntington as far as a lease goes, since this is essentially a continuation of a rotating lease, and a 5-year lease, utilizing a payment at closing this year, puts our annual payment of $51,000. Now this is for an amount not to exceed $290,000. We're working on dialing down the rest of the amount. The additional over the vehicles is for lights, radio install, antennas, all the ancillary equipment for the vehicles, compartment things in the back of the vehicles as well for equipment storage. So this is all 5. This includes the BC vehicle we talked about as well. That's why there is 5. So this would work out to get us a complete package. Currently, within our debt service line, we have just over $60,000 available, since our current lease is paid off. So this is kind of falling into how we had planned. So we would be able to afford within our current budget continuing this lease. So I guess overall, I'm asking for your consideration for a recommendation to council to proceed.
And the quote for the 4th of July, you said they should put them here on the 4th of July. Is that fully furnished?
No, so that would be done from the factory. Actually, the first week of June, that's what they put on there. I'm not putting a whole bunch of weight in there. I would say, we should have them by August.
Okay.
But we would work within scheduling shortly after their arrival to get them into the shop for the lights and the install, things like that.
Good.
Hey, Chief, I'm trying to remember back. I can't remember if this question was asked at a previous meeting or not. But these are going to be the chief, the assistant chief's vehicles, things like that, correct?
Correct.
What's the reasoning? I know you'd originally went with the four-door pickups to keep the gear in the back, keep that isolated from
Correct.
The passengers. Is that going to have any effect with now you're going with a Tahoe, which is more of an SUV type vehicle?
So that was my initial question when this was brought up to me, because we did do that for the clean air concept, if you will, the cancer prevention. Time has passed since our initial purchase, and there are, with what we have spec'd in for the compartments in the back, there's actually a gear compartment that has a vent fan that vents out any off-gassing from the turnout gear outside of the vehicle.
Okay.
So that is part of that, and that does cover that.
Okay, good. That was my concern with I know we'd had concerns about the carcinogens and things like that. With that being vented, then that's good.
Thanks, Jim. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the lease purchase of the staff vehicle and make that recommendation to the council.
I'll second. No, I beat you, Jim.
Okay, you got it, Andrew.
We have a motion that's seconded. Any further discussion? All right, we'll have Kyle call the roll. He's muted. Let's make sure we get him unmuted there. Perfect.
Yep. Rob,
Yes.
Jim,
Aye.
Andrew,
Yes.
Kyle, yes, that's 4-0.
All right, motion passes. Great. Thanks, Chief. It's a good win.
Thank you.
Finally, we have other business, so a station and headquarters update.
Well, I wish I had good news. Excuse me. I sound like a broken record of how frustrated I am with the contract here, but with having nothing to penalize or correct, we're still in the same boat of it's progressing, just not as fast as we'd like. I would say by best guess after the meeting today, we're looking probably the middle of May before occupancy. Things are getting done, obviously not as fast as we like. So that's kind of where we're at.
No, understood. I know you're in a tough spot there, Chief. I know you're doing your best to push it through and get anything done that can be done. So just appreciate keeping them up to date and keeping the fire on them as much as you can. So good. All right, that was the end of the agenda. Is there any other topics anybody else want to bring up?
Has there been any discussion of our meetings starting to be in person, or are we still going to be continuing Zoom?
Good question. Yeah, that's a good topic. So starting with, I think there's the town council meeting will be available to be in person by the council. I think there's a meeting before that, Glenn.
The plan commission this Monday will be a combination Zoom hybrid.
Okay.
So it's starting this Monday.
Yeah, so we will have the opportunity to be a hybrid, which means if the members are comfortable going in, you're welcome to come in. The public could still join via this manner and interact via this manner, if I'm saying that right, Glenn.
Well, in my understanding, the public can actually show up to the meetings as well.
Okay,
So
good.
there's plenty of room to distance themselves inside the auditorium.
Yep.
So actually, we're back to normal as far as meetings go starting this Monday. But if people are still comfortable, they can still Zoom in.
Yeah, and interact via Zoom.
Yes.
So they still have time to speak if they
Yes.
desire. So it's a great option. It's a great use of technology. it really meets our constituents where they are and allows everyone to participate. So,
Hey, Rob,
Jim?
at our next meeting, hopefully we'll be able to do that, meet in person. We probably need to set a little bit of extra time aside to get caught up on signing minutes. We've got a whole lot of minutes we need to go through that's been approved, voted approved, but we need to get everybody's signatures on them and get those distributed because I think the council keeps a copy and then the township also keeps a copy of those. So every set of minutes, we've got to have at least 2 signed copies.
Okay.
That's going to take a little bit. So, and Brad, I don't know, does that have to be done during the meeting or can we do that previous? I'm not sure how that works.
The state law doesn't require you to sign the meeting minutes. I mean, they need to be approved, which you have, and then they need to be made available to the public. If Whitestown has a policy of everybody signing the meeting minutes, that's fine and definitely something you can do, but there's no state law requirement for that.
I just know we've always signed them in the past.
Sure. Yeah, and there's nothing that prohibits you from doing that.
And
So
Jim,
you've already voted on the approval of the meeting minutes, and so in a public meeting, so if you want to sign them when you have an opportunity to do so, you can do that.
So we could just technically or theoretically, we could set them out on the table and as the members of the board come in, they could just sign them and before the meeting starts. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, you've already taken the action by a vote at a public meeting. You're not taking any action when you sign it, or and you're not taking an action as the board. That's already been done.
Okay, good.
yeah, and Jim, the town has also implemented DocuSign for other documents that need signed, especially on the town council. So let me follow up with Jason just to see if there are rules that we have to get something signed, and if so, can we just implement that through DocuSign?
Okay.
It sends you an email, pulls up a PDF, you can type in your name, and it does it in signature form. It's really nice, and then it'll
Okay.
just send it to the next person. So it's a very nice tool that they implemented.
Sounds good.
Save some miles from our town manager driving around town getting people's autographs. So, okay. If there's nothing else, do I have a motion?
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, seconded. Any further discussion? All right, Kyle.
Rob,
Yes.
Jim,
Aye.
Andrew,
Yes.
Kyle. Yes, that's 4-0. Time to close.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank y'all. Have a great one.